Lucy consisted of bones found in the dirt. As I said earlier in my presentation this evening, no fossils count as evidence for evolution. You don't know they had any kids. You find a pile of bones in the dirt, it would be impossible for you to prove Lucy was the ancestor of anybody. All you know is you found bones in the dirt. You can't prove it had any kids whatsoever. And if you want to take that to a court of law and say, that's the ancestor of humans today, you're silly, okay? It's not, you can't prove it's the ancestor of anybody. That just shows the desperation. People are so desperate to believe their grandpa was a monkey. Okay, well, you believe that if you want. But that's not common sense. So Skip, I will take that into consideration. There may be, maybe it should not say most experts, maybe it should say some experts. I'll consider that, thank you. Yes, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Andy Greenstein. I'm a second year MCB grad student here.
Okay.
I think that your disbelief of evolution is really correlated very strongly to your sort of lack of any concrete biochemical or genetic evidence. You completely ignored the area of genetics and genomics.
Wait, one topic at a time, okay? Okay. Let's just take this slowly here.
Right.
You want to say, my rejection of evolution. I don't reject evolution. I accept microevolution. I think it's a lousy term. I think variations happen. Sometimes some pretty bizarre variations. Great Danes and Chihuahuas, if you want to call that evolution, I agree, that happens. Now, I reject anything that's not scientific. We don't have any scientific evidence that a dog ever came from a non-dog. So you need to define what you mean by evolution. I don't reject evolution.
How about your statement that genetic information is never introduced into the gene pool? Could you just make that statement again?
I said there's no new increased genetic complexity. Do you know of any examples where a mutation or evolution has happened that has resulted in an increase in genetic complexity which would create a new kind of animal? Give me your example.
Yes, I do. There's a couple. The first of all is a transposon. It's a genetic element that's mobile between species. They exist in corn, they exist in bacteria, and they often include functions like beta-lactamases. Beta-lactamases are new enzymes that bacteria never had, but are now introduced to break down penicillin. It's a new function, it's introduced by a mobile genetic element, and it adds a level of complexity. The second example...
It's introduced. How is it introduced?
The genetic element is actually mobile. It can be introduced either by phage transduction. These are small viruses that carry genetic...
So this happens naturally?
Naturally, yes.
Okay. Does this transmitting this new information by some natural means, as in like a virus, puts this new information into your gene code? Is that passed on to the next generation?
In humans, yes, and in bacteria, yes, and in corn, yes.
Is it beneficial?
In the case of this example, yes, and in most cases, yes.
Okay. Is it an example of something is that sufficient evidence for you to believe that a rock can turn to a human over 6 billion years?
I never said that rocks could change into humans.
If you want to ask a question, wait in line, please, okay? Go ahead.
I was going to say that I'm not trying to propose that rocks can become humans. I'm thinking about evolution in terms of organisms and living things.
Okay,
right?
so
what I'm saying is that complexity can be introduced into a gene pool by mobile genetic elements that I don't think you really understand.
Oh, I do understand, but listen carefully.
You understand transposons?
You
should name the 3 types of transposons then?
Just listen. You are missing the point. What I showed tonight in my presentation
is not all the evidence.
No, I showed there are 6 types of evolution. You're wanting to skip the first 4. You're wanting to start with living things and say that these DNA sections can be transferred.
We'll start earlier. Back it all the way up. Where do you want to start? No. Let's finish this issue really quickly. Let's finish this one issue really quickly. I want to let you know that transposable elements carry new complexity to species. They can do things like add new functions like beta-lactamases that confer a specific advantage. Further, these things can increase complexity at the level of... Can you just finish this really quickly?
Name an advantage.
Beta-lactamases are an advantage because they break down penicillins, and they make these bacteria resistant to penicillins not only created by you and I in the lab, but by other penicillin-producing bacteria.
Okay, did you see what I mentioned tonight about bacteria becoming resistant to drugs, especially penicillin?
Right, and it was incorrect. You said they never gain complexity or gain information. I'm saying they do.
Okay, you're missing such a big picture here. Okay, where did this genetic information come from? Oh yes, you are. Okay, you're talking about taking already complex, incredibly complex genetic information and moving it. This is not at all how did the complexity get there. This is like taking a section of a program out of PowerPoint and it's somehow getting transposed into Microsoft Word. Okay, but they're both already complex programs. The DNA segments you're talking about moving around are incredibly complex.
Complex to you. I mean, basically, complex is the ideal. How chemically complex is DNA really? And how difficult is it to make DNA from simple elements like carbon dioxide, ammonia, add a little lightning, add a little salt, add a little light energy? How long would it take? They've done it in the lab, not long.
You're telling me, now, I want you to repeat that slowly. You're telling me that you take, DNA can be made very easily, you add a little something together, add a little salt.
This was an experiment that was done a long time ago where they simulated.
Yeah, I know it was done a long time ago. Miller and Urey experiment, okay? And it's been done many times since then. Let me show you what happened. Is this the experiment you're talking about? Let's see. Right here. Let's see, I'll get it. Okay. Analyzing it. Yeah, okay. Right here.
My mom would be mad.
You're telling me you take a few gases and you run them through an electric spark and you're going to get the element. You think it's simple to make a DNA. That was your statement, I believe.
I'm saying it's not that complex a molecule in the grand scheme
the
of
DNA,
molecules we've seen exist in the universe.
The DNA is not that complex of a molecule in the grand scheme of things. Is that what you said?
Yes.
Okay. They used methane, ammonia, water vapor, and hydrogen in this experiment, purposely excluding oxygen. And I'll explain why. This textbook says he discovered the bottom of the flask had a red goo that was rich in amino acids. Well, they didn't come close to making life. He excluded oxygen because he knew if there was any oxygen, it would oxidize whatever was created. The problem is, you can't get life to evolve with oxygen. Okay, it's going to oxidize it. It's going to break it back down. Now, amino acids that try to combine are going to oxidize. The problem is ozone is made from oxygen, and ozone blocks UV light, and UV light destroys ammonia, and that's one of the gases he used. So you can't get life to evolve without oxygen.
Your chemistry is way off. What I want to get back to is the transpose
I don't want to make an accusation like that.
I want to get back to what I was talking about in the first place and stay on topic. I'm telling you that there are elements of DNA that add complexity. I'm telling you that small morphological or small genetic changes encoded by these transposons can result in large morphological changes and even differences as drastic as mating type preferences, you know?
Okay, now let's slow down, take this a little bit of time. You're telling me that DNA can be moved from one type of animal to another through either viruses or mosquitoes, or wherever you want to move it, okay? And this results in a new kind of animal that is going to be, that process is sufficient to explain how a simple thing like what we consider simple like a paramecium can turn into a different kind of animal like a whale or something else over billions of years.
This is only hard for you to imagine because you don't understand it. And that's what I'm going to finish with.
Wait. I mean, it's hard for me to imagine because I don't understand it.
It's not an insult. I'm saying a lot of people don't understand.
I'm trying to understand it. But see, you're missing such a big point. Okay, but you're missing such a big point. The point is, what you're referring to is something that is purely religious. You don't observe this.
No, it's certainly observation.
It's absolutely religious. Nobody observes any animal turn to a different kind of animal. Now, if you want to believe, okay, if you want to believe that, that's fine, but don't call it science. Go ahead.
Hello, hi, my name is Victor. I'm a third-year integrative biology major.
Okay.
Where to begin?
Just anywhere you like, Victor. Calm down, take a drink, it'll be fine.